Hey lovely sex hobby people, welcome to today's video, which is going to be Warhammer Combat Patrol issue number 20. We get our chaplain on bike with this. When I build this, I am going to add in some Raven Guard bits to obviously match my Raven Guard section of my Dark Angels. So come and join me on the desk and we'll have a look at it. Right then, lovelies, let's have a look at Warhammer Combat Patrol, issue number 20. It is our chaplain on bike. I had been planning to buy one of these, but when I found out we were going to get it as part of the collection, I held off. Right, here we go. There's our chaplain. Love the colour of the robes. How to build. So this is a much more intricate build than the Outriders that we got with Indomitus. Obviously they were push fit. This isn't, by the look of it. Or is it? No, I don't think it is. There might be some locating lugs, but it doesn't look like it's a push-fit miniature. Slightly more complicated than our Parasite and Mortrex. I may potentially leave the torso off. The torso and arms off, so that it makes it slightly easier to paint. And I've got a spare Ravenwing motorcycle banner pole that I will put on the back, and I may very well trim off some of the iconography on one of the sides on the front so that I can put on a Ravenwing marker as well. But yeah, there you go. Looks good. Looks good. And it'll fit right in with the Dark Angels because we've got the book motif, which a lot of Dark Angels vehicles kind of have. So if you look at Samir on Sableclaw and Corvex, is it? The jet bike Corvex, and I think his land speeder was called Sableclaw. They both had books on the front, so that fit right in. And then essentially it's black with gunmetal, or lead belcher I should say. But yeah, I will probably seek to remove one of these so that I can put on a Ravenwing motif onto one side to depict that this guy is part of the Ravenwing. And there's your painting guide. I've also got a shoulder pad that I'm hoping will be okay to swap out, which will have the Dark Angels chapter symbol on. Chaplain on bike, you get a D3 rolling chart. You can name him. And then there's your data sheet. So, what's it saying? Combat Patrol inclusion. In games where you are using the Space Marines Combat Patrol Strike Force Octavius, you may, before selecting an enhancement, remove the Librarian Tantus from your army and replace them with the Chaplain on bike. So there you go. The Crozius Arcanum is a force weapon, if I remember rightly. So the pros and cons are: pros, speed and independent character. The con is it lacks synergy. Unlike the librarian, the chaplain on bike does not provide any abilities that improve your other units. By taking the chaplain on bike instead of the librarian, you miss out on powerful Veil of Time ability and therefore reduce the potential shooting power of your Terminators. If you're against a foe you'd rather shoot than tackle in close combat, take the librarian. And I hate that for some reason these magazines recently have all had issues, including my Dungeons and Dragons Adventurer ones, have had issues with the glue around these. That's damaged it. Couldn't get away from that. Oh well. And it's annoying. Right, scenarios. Oh, hang on, before we get into that. Right, so chaplain on bike, and then you have just some basic information. Twin linked for the bolters on the front of the bike, and then Catechism of Fire. If a chaplain directs all of his attacks against the same target, he can use the Catechism of Fire ability. This gives him the Devastating Wounds ability with his shooting attacks. The Devastating Wounds rule enables you to inflict mortal wounds against the target if you score a critical wound. In this case, that means a wound roll of 6+. So, scenario 16, written down. Constant fighting against the Tyranids has left even the superhuman Space Marines exhausted. However, help is at hand. A zealous chaplain of the chapter has come to inspire his fellow warriors and lead them to victory through the destruction of the foe. In this scenario, you'll get to use a chaplain on bike for the first time if you're playing as the Tyranids fight against him for the first time. Will the chaplain's speed and strength prove a match for the swarm? So we are playing with the Captain in Terminator armour and the Chaplain on bike and 5 Infernus Marines. The faction units for Tyranids will be Winged Tyranid Prime, 10 Termagants, 10 more Termagants, 3 Royal Iron Sleepers and 5 Barbgaunts. We have 3 objective markers diagonally across the board. We are deploying in opposite corners, and similar to last week's where you alternated as you went down the board between barricade and infestation, instead of going down the board, we're going across the board this time. So it's barricade, infestation, infestation, barricade, barricade, infestation. You get the picture. Right, and then we have Space Marine's turn. So Space Marines get first turn on this occasion. And the chaplain showing his speed and ability to get into battle straight away by zooming straight across the board there. And then Tyranid's turn. And then your victory condition, Space Marine victory or Tyranid's victory. And what to look forward to in the next 2 issues. The Farseer and some paint. Right, come down. So, the Chaplain on bike is a sculpt of... where is it? 2020. So this is a 2020 sculpt. You get a piece of terrain which caps the base like so, and it looks like the wheels have got lugs on them to secure into this, which is quite nice. So looking at this, we're going to be making the wheels up and stuff like that. Now I'm just having a look at, yes, this is more or less the same. I think that would do the job on there with the Dark Angels icon on it. So swap out the shoulder pad. It's got a purity seal on it, that's fine. We can do that green then with the white emblem. And what I'm probably going to do is, you can see here we've got the chaplaincy icon. I will probably just carefully carve that away so that I can lay on one of these, which will probably be that side, because I think that'll be the front there. So it'll go on there like so, and take the position, so it'll be chaplaincy one side and Ravenwing on the other. That's how I'm going to play it. There's no robes on this guy, so that's fine, that's cool. I like that fact. Do you know what? I'm excited to build this. Might even inspire me to actually finish some of my Ravenwing units. The only Ravenwing unit that is properly finished is, it's called the Talon Master in Landspeeder now, but it used to be Sableclaw, which was Samil's Landspeeder with the twin heavy bolters and the twin Gatling cannons, assault cannons, that's it. Cool. Oh yes, he's got a skull helm, so we do have an option. Cool. I do love the skull helms, so his skull helm will be what I use for this, and that is what will be stuck on his noggin. Right, hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that you will join me in the next video. Alright, take care, bye bye. Okie dokie. We're going to start off by making we're going to start off by making the bike on this build. And as per usual, I'm going to start off by doing the base down. Right, sorted. There are a few sub-assemblies. Wheels, I'm only going to show you one because you don't need me to show you how they both go together, because they go together in the same way. They are keyed, so you can't get them mixed up. Okay, so your hub just goes into the wheel in that respect. Now, what we have is the, I'll tell you what I'm actually going to do. So I've removed, like I said, I've removed one of the chaplaincy icons, and I'm going to pop on a Ravenwing thing here. Like so. So that's that done. Now we're taking our first bike part, which is going to be the left hand side, and the first thing we're going to add into it is this drum, and I think they're suspension arms. So pop that in, and you want to pop that in first to ensure that it's in there firmly. And then this is supposed to attach there like so. So just be aware that it's actually going to be quite a thin join, and you might need to just give it a little bit of time to go off before proceeding. Okay, so that's that. Now the tyres are keyed in such a way that they're only going to go on one way, and these have corresponding tabs there as well. So, and just try and make sure, because there's a tab at the bottom which is going to locate into your base, and just try and make sure that they are as aligned to the bottom as possible. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the other side here of the front wheel mudguard, and you're going to join that together on there. Like this. Okay. So once you've done that, you're going to take your other thing, your other half, and you're going to add in the wheel to it that you've just glued. And again, just make sure that you align the tab at the bottom as flat as possible. Then you're going to marry the two halves up like thus. Now these are going to be, there's going to be some of these surfaces that are joined in half are going to be visible and some aren't. So the ones underneath definitely aren't going to be visible. And then, but the one on the fuel tank and the leather for the saddle, the bike saddle, are visible. This bit here is going to be covered over by these cowlings. Now, the instructions are then saying glue on the exhausts, and I'm going to do both sides here. Slightly out of sequence, but you've also got these foot plates that are going to go and it's not exactly clear which way round these go. That way round. So front of the bike, and they sort of like go that way. Okay. Right, that's that. Now I'm actually not going to glue the legs onto this, for the simple reason being that I want to paint the bike. The legs are black anyway, so I'm happy to paint those separate. But I am going to put the handlebars on, and I'm happy to put the cowling on as well. Now the cowling goes on like so, 1/2, 2, and this is going to join across the top, and then you've got 2 joins at the bottom. I do like these chunky bikes, and that's what it's looking like so far. Now I've got this Ravenwing antenna banner pole thing, and we've got this backrest, I suppose you could call it, which fits onto the bike like this. So now I had to trim this slightly in order to get it to fit, and it's going to fit on like thus. Just make sure you do a top-down view to check and make sure that you've got it aligned. Okay, so this is an additional part. It's out of my spares box, and it is just obviously to denote that this chaplain is part of my Ravenwing. Okay, like that. We then have the book, and the book goes together 2 halves. And then this is going to go onto the bike at an angle like that. So just make sure that you're going to marry up all the chain, which I am. That is on, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I can't actually see the joints, that's really good. Join there. And then we've got this handlebar assembly, which goes on. Okay. Now, by not gluing on the chaplain at the moment, this is going to give me space, because I've got, where I've pushed these halves together after I've put the plastic weld on, it's formed a little bead, and that's going to give me an opportunity to allow it to dry so as it becomes nice solid plastic, and then I can just get in there with a scraper and smooth it out. But this is the bike. The final little flourish is on this side. We've got this handlebar, skull handlebar cap with a little rosary like so, and that's your bike. That's the bike. I'm actually going to glue it down. Actually, I'm not going to glue it down. Tell a porcupine, because I can, at this moment in time, just push it into the locating tabs, like so. So that's how that's going to look. Ta-da! Right, we'll come back in a sec. We'll get on with the chaplain himself. Okie dokie then. We have a chaplain to assemble. Well, mostly assemble. So let's get on it, shall we? Now, oops. We got shin guards to go on to the, or greaves I suppose we should call them properly, onto the chaplain. And the legs I am obviously not going to glue on. I'm not going to glue the torso to the bike. I'm not going to glue the legs on at the moment because I want to paint the bike, and I'm quite happy to obviously just pop oh come on, pop the feet onto a paper clip to paint, and the torso onto a paper clip. Now I'm swapping out this shoulder pad. I haven't got anything which matches exactly the trim, but I've got this Dark Angels one, which I'm going to use. And that shoulder pad is actually going to go on here, but because there's no notch on the underside of the shoulder pad, I need to just trim this away. So there's a little tab on the inside which would have secured the shoulder pad in place, and that's what I'm going to do with that. So when the time comes, that will go onto there. So what have we got? Right, something I need to do. The back of the helmet takes his iron halo. I don't like iron halos, so what's going to happen is I'm going to stick it on simply so that I can fill that hole with the appropriate tab. Get in there. Fill that hole with the appropriate tab, and then I'll cut it off. What a waste. I hear people shouting. Torso. So we have our torso, and that's just going to go together like so. And then just do the underneath like so. So that's that. I am going to glue the backpack on. So that will just go on, just check and make sure it's as square as possible. Now his arm with his crozius goes on there like so. So I miss the old days when, like, there would be a massive skull on the chaplain's shoulder pad. Missing something. Right, that's had a little bit of time to go off. So what I'm going to do is butcher it. so. That's fine. As is. Yep, that's fine. And then stick that in his neck hole so I don't lose it first. And there you go. I do love a skull helm on these chaplains. Now he will go onto his bike like so, and then the legs will attach like so. And this one will attach in a manner that allows for his leg to be touching the ground like that, essentially. I'm going to just model that on there. Like thus. So we've got Dark Angel's chapter symbol on, spare head, we've got an iron halo and a shoulder pad. And we have this skull which attaches, so there's like a little bit of cloth string there, and this is going to attach around about there on the rear mudguard, and that is going to sort of like sit like that on the bike, just a little bit of glue so that it attaches better. But there you go. Now that's as far as I'm taking it build wise. I'm not going to go any further, for the simple reason being that I want to paint it, and this is better for me in sub assemblies. Look at that, doesn't want to go together now. I'll have to use a bit of blue tack. To make it sit. Right, anyway, cue the turntable shot. Let's get this on there. Cue the turntable shot and you can see how it looks on the turntable. I'll stick it all down with a bit of blue tack and I'll see you in the next video. Alright, take care. Bye bye.